My pupils, welcome to our today's lesson that is going to be still on plants that we were doing on the other day. But before we begin the external parts of a plant, I'm going to look very quickly into whatever I left the other day, that was non-flowering plants. So the non-flowering plants, these are plants that are green. They are under green non-flowering. They are green, but they don't have flowers. And we talked of, the first one was algae. Algae is number one. Then we also have fern. And then we have the moss. In the remaining, we talk of mosses. And then we have the conifers, the conifers. We have the conifers. And under the conifers, there are many. These are trees that are green, but they don't produce flowers. These ones are small plants. Algae is very, very small. And then we have fern, that are also very small. These are found on the bark of trees. And then mosses. These are green, very green. They're normally green and they appear on old rocks and even damp places. Get a damp hole somewhere, you'll see some small green plants. So those ones are the moss. The ferns as well grow on trees. And then we have the conifers. The conifers trees, these are trees that are big. They are big trees that do not have flowers. And as you know, the importance of a flower is used for production. It is used for, plants use it for reproduction. So from flowers you get other seeds, and then you can get other plants. So these conifers, they're examples. Let me just name them here. We have pine as number one. We have fir. Then we have cedar. Then we have cypress. And then lastly we have a tree called podo. So these ones are very big trees. They are very big. And then they produce through, you just look at this, they produce through spores. Through spores. These ones produce through spores. Spores are just small like holes that they use to reproduce. They don't use flowers as some of the green plant that we mentioned use. We mentioned like the cereals. The cereals are like plants like maize. Those ones will have a flower. Just an example of a cereal here, a cereal plant. Look at like this one. This one is a grass. A grass is normally categorized under cereals because of the type of leaves it has, and even the type of roots that it has. It has fibrous roots, and this one is an example of a cereal. You can see it has flowers up here. So all those will have flowers, but these ones do not have flowers, but they produce through spores, and these are the examples of the conifers. Other small ones are the conifers, are the mosses, fern, and algae. So much for that. Let us go directly to what we wanted to do today. Today, I just mentioned that we have to do the external parts of a plant, and I'm just going to draw a plant, a simple plant here, for us to be able to name the parts and to give some other things. Lana, can you see I'm drawing the leaves, and then maybe here I can have a flower. So now this is a simple plant. Just name the parts. Here down we have the roots. The roots are normally down there, and here come the stem. And then here, after the stem from down, we have the branches. The branch. After the branch, Lana, we have the leaves. Here we have the leaves, and then on top of the leaves, up here we have a flower. And then one part remaining, that is a fruit. So a fruit can always come there. So let me use this one as a fruit. So this is our fruit. So we have very many parts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. So those 6 parts are what we're going to look at here, and we're going to look at what are the major functions. Like for example, let's begin with down the roots. Learn what are the functions. The functions of a root in a plant. Here is just one. I just had a very good plant here. An example. If you look at this, Lana, this is a plant. As you can see, from down we have the root. And this type of root is a taproot. Why do we call it a taproot, Lana? Because we have the main root going down, and we have the root hairs emerging from the main root. So this one is a taproot. And then look at the type of leaves it has. Any plant that has a taproot will have these networked leaves. The leaves are big, they are wide the way this one look like. They are wide and it has veins. So all plants that look like this will have a taproot, this type of root. And then we have another category of plants, the ones that have long leaves like this, like a grass. A grass has long leaves, and their veins are parallel lines. They have lines like that. So these leaves are called parallel vein leaves, and then all these plants will have this type of roots. Roots that emerge all the way from the top of the plant. They emerge from the stem. All of them emerge from the stem like this. So this type of root is the fibrous root that mostly cereals and grasses will contain. But this one are for them. In most cases, we talk of plants like beans, and even the one I'm holding here is a very good example of such plants. So just to mention, the first function of the root. The first function of the root, Lana, the root is normally used for support. So support is going to be our first for support. The root is used for support, and that is our first point. So how does it support the plant? Like this plant here that I was just holding. Before I uprooted it from the soil, it was being held firmly by the soil. But after me uprooting it, it is now loose. It can now fall down. Meaning it is no longer having a support. There is no more support that the soil can provide under this particular plant. So meaning the roots here are used for support. It supports the plant family to remain strong. Without the roots, it will automatically fall down. So after that, we have food storage. Food storage. Some plants store food on their roots. And a very good example is a yam plant. We have the yams. The yam, we also have cassava. We also have the potato. Majorly the potato is a good example. That is the sweet potato. Also store food in the what? In the roots. Then our next one is absorption. It absorbs. Absorption. It absorbs water and mineral salt from the soil. So the roots absorb water and mineral salts from the soil. So all the water that will be used maybe to produce food, maybe in the leaves, will come from the soil, and the roots will automatically do what? Absorb back that water. It can't get any water maybe from the leaves, but the water must come from down. So without the roots, it can't absorb. Then lastly, we have some roots are used for breathing. If you have been very, very keen, there are some plants that their roots emerge until the top. Like you can get a plant growing, and then some of its roots, you get them on top of the soil like this. So those roots are majorly used for breathing. This plant uses those roots that are emerge up there for breathing, and that's why it also said that some plants use their roots for breathing, the way you just mentioned there. So now we are going to the second part, and that is the stem. That was one. So number two, the stem. The stem, after the root absorbs that water and mineral salts, the stem will transport. So the first function of the stem is transport. transport water and mineral salts from the roots to other parts of the plant. That is what? It transports water and mineral salts from the roots to other parts of the plant, like the branches and the leaves. Number 2, it's a source of food. Source of food for some plants. I.e., normally have sugarcane. Sugarcane store food on the wood. It stores food in the stem. That's why you talk of that. Then number two, no, we have just mentioned food and water storage. So other than there, you can talk of food and water. Not only food, only does it store there. You store water and food for some plants that were mentioned there. And then we also have another one that is, it also supports the plant. Like, look at, for example, my tree here. In case I cut here now, this tree will fall down. So meaning without the stem, other parts of the plant are not protected. So it also supports the plant. Then the last one, it also protects. It's also used for protection. It protects the other part of the plant. Apart from support, it also protects the other part of the plant. Then Lana, we are in number 3. How is to wrap it here? Number 3. The next one is number 3, going to be our branch. Branches. That is number 3. So our branches have no major big role. They don't have a very big role here. As you can see, they have no major big role. They support. So the first one is they support. They support the leaves. Without the branches, the leaves will automatically fall down. Then number 2, they also transport. They also transport water and mineral salts to the leaves. And then lastly, they also protect. So they have protection. They also have almost the same function like. They also have the same function like the stem that we just looked there. Then number 4 are the leaves now. The leaves have quite a number of roles. The first role that is very, very important is that the leaves produce food. This one is makes food. It makes food for the plant. So all plants make food through the leaves. The leaves is the food making engine. It makes food for the plant by use of several things. That process of making food is called photosynthesis. It's called photosynthesis. The process by which plants make their own food is called photosynthesis. So through that, from the word photo, it needs light, and that's why the light is normally being attracted by the leaves. So through photosynthesis, it needs light, it needs water, it needs light. Those let me write whatever it needs for the photosynthesis to take place. When the word photosynthesis is being introduced here, we need light. The plant will need light. The plant will need water. That is being produced by the roots. The roots will absorb the water, and then also need. It needs the mineral salts. We don't talk about water and mineral salts. The plants need carbon dioxide, and the rest that we are going to learn, the requirements of photosynthesis. Number 2, the plants are used for transpiration. Transpiration. So the leaves will support this. Transpiration is just the loss of water. The losing of water through stomata. And the stomata are the small openings. Stomata are the small openings in the leaves. Look at this one, the leaf. There are some small holes that you cannot see with your naked eye. They can only be seen through the use of a microscope. They are small holes on the leaves that allow water to get out. And there's normally an experiment being done. Somebody will just come and draw you something like this, and then draw a polythene bag tied here. If you see this, Lana, a polythene bag tied on a leaf, and then you see some droplets of water. What was being investigated here is transpiration. And I've always shown my learners this. So this is transpiration. Transpiration is being supported by the leaf. So another one is food. Storage of food. At home, there where you are, you used sukuma wiki. Sukuma wiki is a very good example. So these ones, we eat the leaves. We eat the leaves of sukuma wiki, leaves of kales, leaves of all manner of vegetable. So they store water on the leaves. And then another one that we are not almost forgetting is the rover. So we are remaining with the last one, that is a flower. That we can call it a day. A flower. What is the function of a flower? A flower. So a flower is going to be number 6. So a flower, the major role of a flower is for reproduction. Plants reproduce using their flower, and this one is our topic in class 6. In class 6, we're going to learn how flowers are able to reproduce, how photosynthesis, how the male and the female cells are able to reproduce and give us the seeds. So the first one is reproduction. The second part of a flower, use of a flower is for, actually exactly that one. The flowers are the organ that they are used for reproduction, and that is their only work. They reproduce. Number 7, and that's the last one, is a fruit. So what is the function of a fruit, Lana, in this category? A fruit, as you can see there, is normally storage of food. That is number 1. Or you can start with this. It produces seeds used to gain. Let me use the word gain, to gain other plants. It produces the seeds. Nothing can be able to produce a seed except the fruit from the flower. Then next, a fruit, storage of food. I.e., let's talk of a mango. A mango is being eaten like a fruit. So without the fruit, we are not able to get the mango. Without the flower, you can't get the mango. So these ones work hand in hand. We eat a lot of fruits, and any fruit is just from the fruit itself. The seeds are normally inside, and the seeds will be planted again to get another plant that looks like this. So I don't want to extend. I want to stop there after mentioning some other things. But what I want to emphasize on is the issue of the roots that I just mentioned. A root may look like this, but these ones I just have mentioned here, that I'm drawing here, are called the root hairs, the small roots. So this one is the main root, and these are the small roots. So you can be asked a question like name this, name A and name B, for example. So this one is the main root. This one is the main root, and these ones are the root hair, or you can call them the small root. So don't forget that. It may come in examination, but you need to know. Another thing is the difference between the taproot and the fibrous root that I also mentioned here very clearly when I was beginning. So those are the areas. Another thing will be asked. How do we call the small openings on the leaves? Like I just mentioned, this one are called stomata. So stomata are the small openings where leaves can lose water. I mentioned that. Another thing I mentioned, the process by which plants make their own food, that is photosynthesis. I also mentioned that. The process by which plants lose water through the small holes I mentioned is called transpiration. There are four main things I've mentioned there. The difference between a taproot and a fibrous root. The difference between that type of leaf that I mentioned, networked veined roots, leaf, the one I mentioned here, and then the long leaves. The long leaves are called parallel vein. They have parallel veins, and these ones are networked veins. I also mentioned about this. So most cereals have this, and most plants like bean seed have this type of leaves. I also mentioned the process by which plants make their own food, that is photosynthesis, and etc. So now after knowing those terminologies, there's work I'm going to send to you through your parents' phones, so that you can do sort of big work, that's a small work, to help you revise whatever you have just done here, so that we can be able to move to the next topic that is going to be on weather. So until next time, I want to wish you well, remain safe at home, and avoid the spread of COVID. Thank you and God bless you.